There we go. Welcome to week 5, everyone. It's just flying by this semester so far. So this week we're going to finish off a little bit of Power BI from what we were working on last week with just touching up visualizations and making them look really polished and professional. And then we're actually going to transition into Tableau today. So I'm going to show you how to get Tableau running on your machine, how to import data, and then how to replicate some of the graphs that we've been making in Power BI, but now in Tableau. So it'll kind of be an interesting session. We're kind of closing off from one of the visualization tools and moving on to the next. And then I'm kind of curious which one you will prefer, whether it would be Power BI or Tableau, but don't make that decision today because we're just going to be getting into the intro of it. So obviously you'll feel more comfortable with Power BI, but at the end of the Tableau sessions, then I would kind of be curious to get your feedback about which one you think is better or which one you like better. But yeah, so we'll just get Power BI open and we'll get the file that we worked on last week. I'm going to share my screen here. There we go. That should be coming through. And if you guys remember, we were working on this sales and profit, these charts. We had a donut chart, we had this line chart with 2 lines on it. We had our actuals, and we had our rolling average that we'd created. And then we made these, we formatted actually this chart through all of the paintbrush settings. We have to click the visual. And then we have our data labels that we've turned on, so that's these numbers, which add a lot of detail to the chart. We've got markers, and you can customize the different marker styles per line, right? So we can change the shape. This one's a diamond, but the sales rolling average is a circle. And we can change the size, the color, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so we kind of had fun working on that last week. And we're going to kind of continue building on this chart, kind of making it into a dashboard, making it a little bit more usable, adding some user interaction, and then those finishing details like the title message and a footer. All right, so the first step we're going to do is we're going to need a little bit of room at the top of this so that we can add something called a slicer. And a slicer, you'll see, is basically something that can affect all of the charts. It can kind of be, it almost acts like a filter, but instead of it being a filter that's just always turned on, right? So this chart, I believe we have a filter and the year is set to 2014. We can see that right here. So it's only ever going to show 2014 because that's what we've clicked. If we click 2013, then it's going to show both of those years, or if we click off 2014, right? But this is going to be hard-coded. Basically, it will never change. So if we publish this report, it's always going to basically be 2014. But we want that to be dynamic. So what we're going to do is add something called a slicer to do that. So in order to add a slicer, we need some room. So we're going to just shrink this down a little bit. And we're just going to shrink down both of these so that we've got room for a title at the top. And we'll also move up the bottom enough for a footer at the bottom as well. All right, that should be enough room. Maybe I'll go a little bit down. You can kind of adjust it to your preferences there. And then in this empty space at the top, we'll find on the right-hand side a visual called Slicer. Looks like this, square boxes with a little funnel on the bottom right. And it's right beside the table and the matrix icon. And we're going to add a slicer. Oh, make sure you don't do that. Have nothing selected. So just select the canvas and then add your slicer. Oh my goodness. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, it's just putting it on top. I thought it was replacing it. All right, and we can kind of shrink this down to fit up here. Okay, and we want to slice basically on the same thing that we were filtering on. So what do you think we would put in the data fields here in this option? What field?
I think is the years.
Yep, perfect. Great. So we're going to go through our data and we're going to expand our date hierarchy. and we're going to bring, that's all we care about, exactly, Christopher. We're going to bring the year in. So we're going to click and drag, bring the year in. And you might have to play around with the sizing of it. You might just see 2011, 2014, depending on how much you shrunk it. So just bring it down like this right now. Just make it really large. If I make it a little bit bigger, we can see we've got this slider. Okay, and as I drag this, we can see it's affecting all of these charts. Now this one, it's blank right now. Any idea why it would be empty?
Because we have already selected the year 2014.
Yeah, exactly. So we've already set it to 2014, but because we're only showing 2011 to 2012, it's going to say like, hey, I can only show 2014. You haven't selected a 2014, so I'm not going to be able to show you anything. So we have to turn that off. So let's select that chart, and let's just click this X to get rid of that filter. So now it's going to show 2011 to 2012 data. Okay, we can minimize the filters pane. Now, that's cool. We can play with these sliders and we can see them affect the charts, and that's kind of the start of what we want. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and you'll notice, you might not see this right now, but once you make it a little bit bigger, we get this chevron in the top right, this down arrow. And if we select this, we can actually change the type of slicer this is. So I don't want users to be able to select more than 1 year at a time or show a range. I don't want them to be able to see like 2011 to 2014. So that'd be, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. I don't want them to see 4 years of data. I only want them to see 1 year of data. So we're going to change this to a drop down. And then that way they can just click one at a time, right? And then we can shrink this back down to fit. Right there. Okay. I'm going to just line it up. Oops. Perfect. I'm going to select 2014 and then perfect. So we can make this a little bit more intuitive to the user by changing the title. So telling them that they have to select it. So we can go into the paintbrush format tabs and we can play around with some of the settings here. So right now it just says year. Maybe I want them to know that they can select a year. And that's the wrong keyboard. Select year. Like that. All right. That's pretty good. And then if you wanted to, in the slicer settings, we can turn single select on so they can only ever select one, or they can multi-select with control. So that is an option. And we can also turn on a select all option if we want that to be in the drop down now. You can see there's a select all option, but if I turn this off, that select all option's gone. So I'll turn that on. It's nice to have. And this is just a little bit neater than that slider that we were using before. All right. So that's great. And now what we can do is we can add a title to this. So what we're going to do is text box. I'm going to type sales summary analysis by year. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Perfect. And we want to move it. Oh, to the top. No, this is not wanting me to move it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the selection pane, select my text box. Okay, mine is not letting me move it, so I'll just go like this. I'll do it the hard way. There we go. And go like that. A little bit of room for our logo. And I'll put it behind the slicer so that the slicer actually shows on it, like that. Okay? And then we can give this a nice border. We can change some of the format settings. Properties, we can add some rounded corners. That's fine. Okay, so background we can turn on and we can make it bright white. No transparency. Visual border on. Rounded corners. We can do a little bit. See what that looks like. Nice. And then I can just fit my slicer right inside of this so that we can see that border. Make these a little bit smaller. Okay, just using the arrow tool to nudge that down. Perfect. Make it centered. All right, and then what we can do is we can actually bold this, we can center it, or maybe tab it over. Maybe that's too much. All right, we're just doing this visually to see, to get it looking a little neater. Okay, and I actually like that rounded border. I'm going to add that to my charts as well. So we can come down to effects and turn visual border on all our charts. And I just used, I think, 5 pixels to do the rounded borders on all of them. And I just kept it black. Now I'm also noticing, oops, that our donut chart here, we've got a problem with this. So we're just going to have to shrink that again so that it fits inside the donut chart. Let's close. There you go. I think that's good. All right, so it's looking good with the rounded borders. I don't think I added it to this one yet. Effects, background, color. I don't want background, I want border. Visual border on, 5 pixels. All right, that's looking pretty good. We can add a bit of a shadow to this one as well. Make it a little bit lighter. All right, that's looking pretty good. And then if you have an icon or something, or a little logo, we can put it up here in the top left. Is everyone following along so far?
Yeah, I have some challenges. I'm just waiting for you to maybe just have a break. I'll share my screen.
What's your challenge that you're having?
Yeah, in the last class, I was not able to get the filter where you can filter the years. So mine was not working like yours. Secondly, I was unable to add shadow to the sales by ship mode. I added shadow to the other elements, but that of sales by ship mode was not working. So I don't know what I was doing wrong.
Okay, yeah, I can take a look at that. But in the meantime, let's just see if you can add the title and the slicer and get that working, and then we can get those little details. Those should be quick fixes, hopefully. So, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add an icon. So I'm just going to use the Apple icon. Save the image in our downloads. And then we should be able to insert it as an image. Oh, it only wants SVG, so we'll have to get a different file type. There we go. So we'll just shrink that down. Center that. I like it there. It's pretty good. Cool. And I'm actually going to give a bit of margin here on the left as well, just for a bit of white space. Cool.
Professor, hello, hi, Professor. So instead of year in the title bar, why can't we put in the line graph, like, because it takes the, I mean, it doesn't look really good, like if it is occupying the title place. So is it okay to put the slicer on the actual sales or somewhere under, or some or else reduce the title tile, some like cut into half or something like that?
You're saying you don't like this slicer up here?
Yeah,
Visually?
because it is like, I mean, the title, it is better the title occupy the complete space instead of like filter over there. I mean,
Yeah, if you want to. I'm putting it here just so that right away they read this and then they say, okay, I can adjust this by year, and then I can go through, and
okay.
it's just easy in the title right there for them to analyze it that way. But if you want to move it, you might have a hard time trying to find some space where it doesn't squish other things. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
go for it.
yes.
Go for it. So I think what's next here? Next thing we want to do is add a footer. So we're going to do a footer down here. We're going to add another text box. Just put it all the way across. Bring it down. Center the text, and then we'll just type confidential, do not circulate for discussion purposes only. Something like that, just to give our user a bit of information about about this report. Okay, and then we can go into the properties of this text box, and then I want to make sure that the background is turned off. So we'll go transparency 100%, or what we can do is just turn the background off. So that way it's not going to cut off any of the shadow here or anything. And it's just going to blend in a little bit more. All right, and then the last thing I want to do, speaking of background, is we can select our canvas. So I'm just clicking outside of it here, and you can see it's selected the entire canvas. We can go into the paintbrush here, and then we can select a color for our canvas. So we can just choose a really light gray, and then bring the transparency down. And you'll see there it's applied it. And now what's kind of cool is it pops all of these visuals kind of off the page, right? So you can see now that we've got this gray background, you don't have to do 0 transparency. You can do like 30, so it's not as dark. And then if you wanted to, if you had certain visuals that you wanted to blend in a little bit more, then what you could do is you could come into the background setting of them, and we could turn the transparency on those up so that they blend in with the background. Let's see here if that's working. General effects. Yeah. So you can see there that it's now blending in with the background. I would also have to do it to this 4.3 million, but I actually kind of like the stark white popping off the page a little bit. So here we go. We've got a pretty nice looking dashboard now. We've got a title, we've got a footer, and a logo, and a way for the user to interact with the page, which is kind of cool. All right. So next thing we're going to do, now that we've got this dashboard 2, we're going to right click and we're going to duplicate this. And we're going to make something for the average profit summary analysis by year. So very quickly, we can now make another dashboard, but for the profit instead. And we could use an interesting visual, say something like a tree map for this, which shows the area. And then we can, instead of showing sales, we could do profit. And you can see here, this is total profit, 0.05 million. We can click this little arrow and we can do average. How's it going? Come on in. And we can see that the areas are proportionate, but we actually can't see the numbers because they're formatted for millions. So what we'd have to do there is we'll have to go into the format settings and change the this display units is what we're looking for under data labels to, I think, let's see what auto does. Yeah, right there. All right. So we're just kind of building on what we worked on last. Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was watching.
Oh, perfect. Alrighty, so that is good for our average profit, but now we need to change the title. So this should say average profit per region. There you go. Average profit by region. All right, and we want to show these numbers as dollars. So tell me if you can figure out how to do that, how to format the data label. How can we put dollars in front? We are going to do Tableau, yeah. Anyone? So we should be able to format it here to currency, or maybe we actually have to do this. Format. What are we looking at? We're looking at the profit. And what's the data type here? General. So we can display this value in this column as a currency. You can choose from a bunch of different currencies here. We're going to just do dollars. And now if we come back to our report, we've got a little dollars here. All right. Next thing we can do, we're going to actually delete these. We're going to add a area chart. And then we're going to do our products by our average profit. So what fields would I drag where? We want to show our top products by average profit. What do we think? I want to see profit on the y-axis. So we're going to drag profit over the y-axis. Okay. Now I want to see my profit by my products. So where would I put products? I could do product name. Where would I put product name?
X-axis.
X-axis. Perfect. So we'll drag that over there to the x-axis. And there we go. That looks good. We can see a whole huge list, but it kind of looks like a flat line. And then these top couple are really huge, like $7,000, and then it comes down 2,000. And there's kind of a scaling issue here, right? You can't really tell the difference between this one at 2,000 and this one at 2,400. So what we can do is we can actually limit the amount of products we're showing. Again, using filters, and we can just show the top 3. So what we can do is we can filter this doing a top N filter, top 3. Then we want to filter the top 3 by their average profit. So we're going to bring in the profit value, but we're actually going to, instead of do the sum, we're going to do the average. We're going to apply that filter. Okay. And I forgot to do that too on the y-axis. Instead of just doing it by straight up profit, like as the sum, we're going to change it to the average because that makes more sense. We're looking at the average profit here. All right, so now we can see the average profits, 5,000, 1,000, and 1,300, or 1,600 and 1,300. All right, so we would need to change the name of this graph, or the title. Instead of average, actually, what does it say? Average of profit by product name. Yeah, that's pretty good. Average profit by product name. It's good. Average product profit by region. So we're going to change this title to the average profit summary analysis by year. All right, just bring that back a bit. We might have to make this text a bit smaller. Oh, that's good. Cool, so we've got our top 3 products, and then I want to see our bottom 3 products. So an easy way to do that, Control-C, Control-V, bring this down. And then instead of top 3 in our filter, we just do bottom. Apply filter, and there's our bottom 3 by profit. Cool. And we'll just stretch this down to match. All right. And next, I want to bring in another area chart down here. Bring this all the way across. We can move our footer down. Maybe that's taking up too much room. And then we'll have more room for this chart. We're going to do average profit performance by month. And so this is going to be affected by our slicer as well. So if we want to go by month and we want to show our average profit, looking at this area chart, this visual, what would we put on our x-axis and what would we put on our y-axis? I want to show average profit performance by month.
I think the average profit should go on the y-axis.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to put profit, and we're going to make sure it's average profit on the y-axis. So we can see here $20, $30. That's our range. And then what would go on the x-axis? We want to show by month.
Yes, by month, the month.
Yeah, by month, yeah. So expand our date hierarchy, bring the month over on the x-axis. So now we can see January, February, March, and it's working like this because we've got our year selected in the top. Slicer, okay? So we can make a lot more. We can make this chart a lot better. We can add a lot more detail by doing some of the things we did last week. So turning markers on. We always like to do markers, and again, you can customize those. So you can change the shape, you can change the size, you can even change the color. And then also adding data labels is a really good idea because then we can see the actual value at each marker for that month. All right, something else that's pretty cool that we can do is we can add a line. We can add a secondary y-axis here. Oh, I've got a bit of a visuals responsive. That's fine. We can add a secondary line as our target value, or sorry, as our average. So we'll turn this on. Which one is it that I want to do here? Actually, I don't think it's that one. I want to add that's not it. Sorry, I'm just looking for series label, I think. Where's the setting? We want to add 2 lines. We want to add a line a hard-coded line as a target value at maybe $35, since that seems to be like our 2 top performing months. So see if we can add a horizontal dashed line here at 35. I'm just actually, oops, forgetting which setting that's under right now. So you know what, we'll just Google add static target line, Power BI area chart. All right, expand, click to expand constant line. Oh yes, the analytics button. Okay, so we haven't actually worked in this tab too much. So that's the formatting tab, this paintbrush. This one is the analytics, or the magnifying glass, to add further analysis to our visual. So we haven't actually spent too much time in here. And so in here is where we find, that's why I was a little lost. I was in the wrong tab. In here is where we'll find this y-axis constant line. We can also add something called an average line, which we'll do in a sec, but we're going to add this constant line of $35. All right, and that could be our target. We'll make it maybe red or something. And we can set the transparency so it's not super bold. Set the style to dotted. And the position will be in front, and we can add a data label to it to give it a name. And we can see there the data label is $35. We can choose the position. So if I want to be on the right-hand side here above the color, make it the same as the line, which would be red. And I think we can also add a title to this. Calling it target. There. So instead of y-axis constant line, we type target. Hit that check mark. All right. And then here we can choose the data value, the name, or both. And so I'm going to choose both, and now it says target $35. We can see we can very easily see we've hit our target twice in the month of October and March now, adding this. I'm going to close the filters pane so it's a little bit bigger. Adding this analytics y-axis line. Okay, so that was just a constant line. And you can add more than one if you want to add another target or a secondary target or a trouble zone or something, if you wanted to track that too. The other thing we can do that's kind of cool in the analysis tab is we can add this average line, which will take the average of all these values across the months and then just give us a constant. We can double click in here and we can just type AVG, which is the average. And it's going to be the average of profit. And we can turn the data label on. We can also make it on the right-hand side. Right there, we can choose both. So we see average 28.67. So we can now see across the entire year some very easy analytics of what our average was. And then we can change, I think this style is actually pretty good. Blue matches the color of our area. Target is red, so it's different. This is dashed and that's dotted. So I think that's actually pretty good. And the display is auto, so that's fine. So just like that, I would say we've pretty quickly generated another entire dashboard that shows us profit, and this slicer will affect this dashboard as well as this dashboard. So if I do 2012, I come over here, I'm on 2012. If I do 2013, oh, this is still 2012. Does anyone have any idea what we can do to make sure that these sync up? So if I change it on one, it changes on the other. There is a way to do it. So see how when I'm here, the slicer is 2013? Yeah. And then if I'm here, it's 2012. If I make this change to 2014, it shows me the impact on this dashboard, but then this one's still 2013. You can sync them across pages. Be kind of helpful, because in that way, you know, if someone's jumping through and they think that they're looking all at 1 year, it changes everywhere. So the easy way to do it is we come up to the View tab here, and then we have this Sync Slicers button. So if you ever have that issue where your data is not syncing from page to page, Sync Slicers, select a slicer on one of your report pages to start syncing it across. And so we want to select this, and then we can choose which pages it's going to be synced across. So it looks like it's visible on both these pages. And then this shows whether it's synced or not, so we can give the check mark there. We don't have a slicer on dashboard 1, so neither of these will be checked. All right, and now let's test this. They're both 2013 right off the bat, which already looks good. I choose 2011. All of these change. I go to this dashboard. It's also 2011. All right. Pretty cool. If I choose 2014 and I go back to this dashboard, it's 2014. There we go. So we've got average profit, summary analysis by year. Okay, the last thing we want to do is maybe add some borders and some shadows in our general settings and effects. So we've got visual border on, 5 pixels, shadow on, change the color to be a little bit of a lighter gray, and then we can do that here as well. And same on this one. All right, and that just adds a little bit of extra pop. Looks good, looks good. Perfect. Title's good. Oh yeah, and then the last thing we want to do, this title, this is our average of profit by month, but it's actually since we're showing target values and average values, we can actually change this title to be a little bit more descriptive. Say it's our average of our profit performance. So small little details like that make a big difference. And then these titles should probably be changed. They're average profit by product name, but it's actually our top 3. It's not all our products. So it'd be better to name this top 3 performing products by average profit. And then this one would be better to name bottom 3 performing, oops, I don't think I'm typing, bottom 3 performing products by average profit. All right, so those titles make a little bit more sense. Perfect. Everything's lined up. Looks good. Okay, we will take a 10-minute break soon. I just want to show it's one more thing here. 2 more quick things. And then we'll take a break. Okay. So we're going to make one more page. And we can just do a blank brand new page. We should probably name these dashboards something. So I'll probably rename this sales summary. And I'll probably rename this AVG profit summary. And then this one, we're going to name customer segmentation analysis. So we're going to compare customers. And segmentation is just a fancy way of saying, you know, customer groups, or segments is another word for groups. So it's going to be analyzing the groupings of customers, what customers are similar to other customers. Someone in chat said, nice. All right, good. So now we've got some good titles. We've got our first 2 dashboards. Now this section, I'm actually going to show you a really cool clustering analysis technique. It's pretty hidden in Power BI, but it uses the k-means, machine learning, in the background in the Power BI engine to automatically detect clusters or groups within your data. And then we can kind of use those groupings to draw some conclusions from. So it is a really cool, but it's only in one menu that you can find it. You can't find it in any of these menus. So I'll show you how to do that because it is a pretty neat way to analyze your data. So we're going to use a scatter chart, and this is going to be actually, yeah, this is going to be the size, the entire size of this dashboard. And we want to show customers by profit and sales on a scatter plot. So how would we do that?
I think we are going to use map this time around.
Say that again, Christopher.
I'm thinking that we might use map.
You're going to use a map? No, we don't want to use a map. We want to use a scatter plot here.
Okay, to show the relationship.
So we're going to do sales on the x-axis. We're going to do profit on the y-axis. And we're going to do average for both. Okay, so I've got my average of sales on the bottom, average of profit on the y, and then we want to show basically here we've got one value, the average of sales and the average of profit. We want to now categorize it by our customer, right? So we can take a customer name here into the values, and just like that, it's now given a value for each name, each customer's name. If I hover over this is Christopher. His average sales were $480, and his average profit was $76. Way up here is our highest sales, highest profit, and way down here we've got our lowest sales and lowest profit. We actually lost money on Cindy. And then we can see some clusters, some groupings kind of in this area. So this is a great way to see relationships between profit and sales and where, you know, customers kind of fall. All right, so the more money they spend, typically, as sales get higher, the profit also is typically getting higher, with exception to a few people. Now what we can do is we can format this a little bit. We can change the shape of the markers. You know, squares, diamonds is kind of cool. And then we can also change the size of these markers. If we come in here in size, we can actually change the size depending on a value. So if this sale average is 421 and this sale average is 384, we can actually show a different size. So we can bring that in to the size column. Now, this is ridiculous. We're going to change this down to average, but then we can also change the setting of like the scale of the sizing right here, so that it's not as crazy. So maybe go negative 30. So now we can still tell, you know, this diamond is slightly bigger than this diamond. This diamond is slightly smaller. So there is some variation in sizing. All right, now this k-means machine learning. Oh, you're hearing the echo again? I'm not sure why. I can turn the volume down a little bit, see if that helps. The machine learning clustering analysis option, if you want to call it that, we can't find it in any of these tabs, right? And we can't find it in any of these menus. You can go through, it's not in the analysis tab. The only spot that you're actually able to find it is in these three little dots up in the top right. You click this, and then you see this automatically find clusters button. And so the Power BI engine in the background, we're going to give it a name. So customer, what do we want to call it? Customer segmentation analysis. Give it a description. If you don't want to use the word clusters, you could say segments of customers by average profit and average sales. So this is just a description to help the user. And then we can set number of clusters to auto. It's going to use whatever its default standard deviation number is in the background to detect separate groups of data. So here, I think it's only detected 2 clusters. So it's got a main cluster on the left and a main cluster on the right. If we wanted to maybe make it a little bit, maybe a little bit more, maybe I can undo that.
Hello, Professor.
And you could maybe hard code 4 or 5 clusters.
Hi, Professor.
Hello?
Yeah. The clusters, what do they stand for? Cluster 1 and cluster 2.
What do they stand for?
Yeah.
So basically, we'll kind of learn this in machine learning this week in business intelligence. But clusters are kind of what the computer, or there's an AI model running in the background that is looking for groups. Basically, like what's closer, what points are closer to each other. So it's kind of going to use like the inverse square method and take distances from each point to another point and kind of say which group does this point belong to and which group does this point belong to. So it's almost like the computer in the background is looking at this, and if it were to draw like a circle, it would say like, oh, this is a main group, and then this is your other main group. So here it only detected 2 main groups or main clusters. So it's clustering these customers together, and then it's clustering these customers together.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I'm trying to like, okay, the cluster, what is it based on? What is the criterion for the cluster?
So it's basing it on the value of sales and profit.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
Okay.
Now I want to see if I can actually add more clusters. So I'm going to click the X on this legend, and I'm going to automatically find clusters again. I'll type customer segmentation analysis, customer segments by AVG profit and AVG sales. And then I'm going to do 5. Let's do 5. 5 segments. It's going to automatically run it in the background. And then here we go. So we can see we've got a nice purple grouping. We've got our blue grouping. We've got a dark blue grouping down here, which are maybe people who have spent more money, but we've lost profit on them. We've got people up here in the orange group who have maybe spent more money, but we've made profit. And then we've got this pink who's all the way over. Maybe it's just an outlier. So we've got Sean Miller who's spent a ton of money, but we've basically broken even. We've gotten $8 of profit. All right, and then maybe this purple group, kind of similar to this blue group, we've got people who've spent a little bit of money and we've made a little bit of profit. Here we've got people who've spent a little bit of money and we've made a medium amount of profit. Yeah. All right, so maybe our orange group is our favorite, and then the blue group is people we need to market to or work on. Okay. Now, if we don't like these words, these clusters here, then we can come over to our legend, and we can change the names. Customer segmentation analysis. It's got a 2 in there for some reason, so I can delete that 2. And then we can change the names of these clusters. Try to remember where. Title. See if you can find it before me. It might actually be here. Legend. Is it this? You can choose the color, but there is a way to change. Oh, if you want to see all the customer names, you can do that too. Text. Nope. Properties. Anyways, there is an option if you want to change the name from cluster to segment so that it's less confusing. I'm not remembering how to do it this very second, but all right, so that is kind of cool using that AI to do that. Another thing that's pretty cool is we can bring this up here a little bit, and every visual on Power BI has this option. You can right click and summarize, and what this is going to do is it's going to run another form of an AI engine in the background that's going to take the data and generate a summary, a text summary of what's happening. So I click or right click, I hit summarize, and here we go. It's auto-generated a text box, and I can bring this down to the bottom, but it basically says Sean Miller had the highest average of sales at 703. So Sean Miller is this guy. And Hunter Lopez had the highest average of profit at 147. So we can see our top 2 customers by sales and profit. The customer segmentation analysis, now again, it's got a 2 here for some reason, which I don't know why. I can make this font a little bit bigger as well. Oh, it's not letting me click in there. The customer segmentation analysis with the highest average of sales was cluster 5, which is our pink. And the segmentation analysis with the highest average of profit was cluster 3, which is our orange group. The most customer names were below 246 in average of sales and below 28.46 in average of profit. So it kind of gives us a little bit of an insight there as well. So you can do that on any visual in Power BI. Where you can right click and summarize. So if you wanted to, we could right click and summarize on this. I think we'd have to ungroup it first. But if we wanted to summarize this, even if you want to just do it so that you understand the visual a little bit more, you could right click, summarize. It's going to generate a story. And it's going to say, at $555, November had the highest sales, so 555,000. It was 200% higher than February. That's cool. And which had the actual sales of 184. They're positively correlated with each other. So as one goes higher, the other goes higher. That's cool. And then November accounted for 12.9% of actual sales. That's pretty neat too. And then sales rolling average and actual sales diverged the most when the month was July. So that's kind of neat. They're the most separate there. So we could maybe take a look what happened in July. When sales rolling average was 113,000 higher. So pretty neat. And then you can just undo, right? So you could just read that, get a better insight, and then you don't actually have to keep it. But if you wanted to keep it, you could put it on the bottom here, which is kind of neat. All right, so I think that is everything I wanted to show you with Power BI, showing you those last 2 little AI engines that we can run with the summarize and the clustering. So we can save that. We'll take a little break here. I know we went over by a bit, but we'll take a break and then we'll kind of get into some Tableau after this. Any questions? Did everyone get caught up to this point?
No, I have to watch and follow you. I'm wondering if I can share my screen now so you can just resolve my little issues.
Sure. Yeah, so we'll take a 10-minute break. Chris is just going to share a screen and I'm going to help him figure out some issues he's having, but go for it, Chris. I'll stop sharing the...
Okay, well, let me see here.
Did you follow along with that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I would have to go.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I can see.
Okay. I couldn't add the shadow to this sales by ship mode. I tried it. It wasn't working.
Okay, so go into the little paintbrush menu. Yeah.
Type shadow.
Okay, and then go to general. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. And then hit the on button. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Looks like it
Then,
added it.
yeah. Then I was not able to get the filter. Like as you can see, I'm not getting the same visualization like you. So how do I don't know how to add the filter so I can filter to
We don't want to add a filter to this one anymore because we have the slicer now.
Yeah, but I just wanted to follow. No, I mean this is your first. This is for last week.
Oh, to add a filter, basically, you take whatever you want to filter it on. So in this case, it's the year. You drag the year over to filters on this page in the filters section. Yeah, you drag it right there. All right, and then it's saying advanced filtering. Change the drop down to basic filtering. And then you can just choose one of the years. And now it's filtering it just on that year.
Okay. Okay.
But then keep in mind that's going to break your slicer because now your
No,
slicer.
Yeah, when I get this point, I can now follow your lectures to complete what you did to the next pages.
Right. Yeah. Perfect.
Then where did we change this one? Sorry, to the drop down
There's
option.
a little drop down gray arrow in the top right of the slicer.
Oh, okay, this one.
And then you hit drop down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yep.
The way I make done. Did you share because I cannot find that file. I cannot find that file regarding like the teammates form kind of.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yes, I do have it. Sorry, it's nothing fancy. It's just like a sheet. But yes, I totally. Thank you. Forgot to send that.
I was like looking around.
It's basically this. I'll put it up on Blackboard now.
It's really good actually. At first I was so confused, like I wasn't even able to bring out the rectangle or something. I was like, where's everything? Then it was like on the corner, I started to get a hang of it, but like what I had in my mind, I was a little bit able to try to imitate it, but like it took me time. It took me around 6 hours to
get used to
totally build everything on there. And I didn't I thought it's gonna be really easy and it's gonna be done in 1 to 2 hours, but it took me like 6 hours and I sat like around 4:30. And the moment I was done and I checked the time, it was like 9:30. Like, what the hell?
That's a good thing though. You like it.
But so there it wasn't converting to PDF. So I put a link over there, the Figma link. I also did that. I also did the snipping, and I sent the file as the file.
For this assignment?
For the visuals assignment.
Yeah, for the data.
Prototype.
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, awesome.
I also put the link and I also put the snapshot of it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, sweet.
But the snapshot was a little blurred.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sure I'll be able to work it out. Here, let me post the participation worksheet. It's honestly, it's just this here. So you put people who have participated. You put their names. Basically, everyone signs their name. People who haven't.
We just put their names.
Yeah, and if someone hasn't, then you would just put their name in here, right? Like if you haven't heard from someone the entire time, or if the entire team feels like someone didn't contribute, then. So I will upload that to Blackboard. I'm just going to put it here, participation.
So I also want to know, like in active cases, even in online, it is showing -883. So what does that mean?
In active cases for what for country or world?
For a state, -883.
Maybe that's not recovered then, is it? No.
I have no idea because I checked it and I was like, this when I did the total active cases, it brought down, like it came down to some number. And
Yeah.
then I went to the website, like here, this is the website, and
Oh,
the
that's weird.
active cases, if you go down, see, Odisha has what -883. Is that a fault or because there are more down
Active
if you know?
cases. Yeah, can we sort by? Oh yeah.
See? There are like -1873.
Confirmed, recovered 5. Minus. I have
At
no
first, I
idea.
thought that I did something wrong in the data cleaning,
No.
but then it was fetching like this.
That is so interesting. Minus.
Minus in active
Is
cases.
this in India? Yeah.
Yeah, it's inside India state.
Yeah. Have you Googled
Yeah.
Bihar?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Like, why does Bihar have active COVID cases? Maybe it is a fault just by their data.
No, I don't
No,
know.
that's not it. I don't think they would have anything.
Let's check Bihar's active cases. There is one more thing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will be able to fetch it or not. I was checking it. Yeah, this. It's not this. Right, the statistics.
The refresh rate on this is so nice. It's a 120 hertz monitor.
Yeah, this is 144.
144, yeah, it's so nice. Like it looks like instant.
Yeah, it's here somewhere. Oh shit! I just like if you just do like COVID corona statistics, it gives you corona virus stats.
By
So,
state.
the Google also gives you something over here.
Mhm.
So I was checking those stuff. Like, can we just take it from here?
Are these updated daily? Updated June 6th at 10:50. Okay.
I don't know if we can take it from here because it's like Google's fetching it, so it must be. But they don't have active cases. So I was just checking.
I would see if you could fetch it from like a government, like a Canada COVID cases from a government page because they should have. So if you go to Canada Public Health Services, outbreak data. So count of total cases in Canada here. This would maybe be the best place to grab it because this is from Canada.ca.
Yeah.
Well, at least for Canada, you can get a CSV file as well. But then I don't know if it would update every single day. Map. International map and data is available. That could be a good spot to
And
get.
I really want to check if is that the only site that's showing that India's.
Oh yeah, see, check.
Bihar COVID case in this. Bihar cases confirmed.
Did they show per day though?
That's today's. But where is like?
I don't know why
There's
the
no
one
website
website
for
like
that.
negative 1,000.
That's so funny. Where's active from? Why don't they show active?
What if you just go to have you used like this?
Yeah, this is the one that I was using.
And it's showing.
It's showing negative. I was
Okay,
like,
what about this one? Have you used this Bing one?
Okay, let's check. It's Canada right now. Oh, there it is.
So where is?
Bihar?
I don't know where. Oh, here? Bihar?
Yeah.
75.
75 is the active cases.
Yeah.
So that's something going on over there.
New cases 11. 0. Daily trends. June 1st.
Oh, there was minus. No, hold on. I thought.
7-day average 6, 9, 7. You can expand this. last month, last 30 days. Yeah, definitely no negatives.
Yeah, that's. I think they placed a negative. By
They must
mistake.
have. But even 1700, this doesn't even show 1700. So.
Yeah, it's showing 75 up there.
So I wonder if it's grabbing the wrong column, like if it's
Mhm.
maybe showing some vaccine data. Maybe
No
it's
idea
showing.
what that is showing. But
Huh.
then I have to change the data set.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, shit.
I would stick with government websites if you can, because they.
Yeah. I was just looking around and I was like, why is active cases gone to 45 and then
Yeah.
there were negative values and they literally brought it down.
This one there. Attachments, browse local files. Where did I save it? Okay, so you should be able to find the participation worksheet at the top of the assignment section. I'm going to copy it into
I don't know how they are doing it. In government's website, it is saying that British Columbia hasn't reported their cases yet. And there is one more website where it's saying latest update at 6x, and they have updated British Columbia. It's fine,
They have, but the government hasn't?
but the government hasn't.
That's strange. You could also try to grab it from each province's website, but then that would be a lot of work for each province. Okay.
But like if I use the earlier data that I'm grabbing, will that be okay? Because we are able to fetch the data.
Mm-hmm.
The requirement is met. It's just that the site is doing something.
Yeah, or instead of doing India's provinces, you could do Canada's provinces.
Yeah, I'm finding for the Canada, it's the active cases.
Even if you just grab from yesterday instead of from today, then there should be data for each one. I would think.
Even in the government side, they're not showing active cases in Canada. They're showing total cases, deaths, total deaths performed.
Hmm. You could, I mean, they might not be tracking active cases anymore just because it's starting to be the end of it. So wherever you can find data that's like slightly.
Like I found a data that has confirmed total lengths, total recover, and total active, and it's also saying it's refreshing daily.
Mm-hmm.
But is it legitimate? I have no idea. But can I use that?
That's actually saying it actually seems legit.
I can like cross check with the government data.
Yeah. All right, everyone, we're going to jump back into it here again. All right. So let me just get my screen shared with everyone. Okay, you guys can see that? All right, so we are going to now transition to Tableau. So I'm going to show you guys how to get Tableau on your computers. You should be able to get it working right away here, hopefully. So we're going to go to, oops, wrong keyboard, appsanywhere.georgiancollege.ca. And you're going to sign in through your school account. It's going to do this validation in progress. It should be pretty fast and then say validation successful. It's just making sure you're signed in through your Microsoft account. And then you're going to search Tableau. So it should come up once Tableau. There, you spell it like that. Table A-U, Tableau. And there's going to be two. There's going to be one that says Tableau BDAT 2022, and there's going to be one that says Tableau Prep 2021. We are going to favorite, so you can just click the little star, the BDAT, and now every time you come to your favorites, it'll be in your favorites, and then hit the launch button. And it's going to download the program in the background. So depending on your speed, I think it's only like a gigabyte or something. It should be pretty quick.
If it's from apps anywhere, then it's not downloading.
So what actually happens is there's something called the Cloud Paging Manager, and it's going to run it in the background. And the first time you hit launch, it actually does download the program through the Cloud Paging Manager, and then it syncs. I don't know how it does it, but there's a license key basically running on an authentication server in Georgian. And then it, like, I got a group license for students, and it's going to use that license key for all of you. So you don't have to even worry about licensing it. It should just run and then open. And because you're a student at Georgian College, and that license key has been applied through your account on the licensing server, it should run. All right. Oluwole, I can see you talking, but I can't hear you. So I'm not sure if you have a question, maybe type in chat. Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get apps anywhere to install the Tableau. It's not going through here.
It might take a minute. You just will have to let it run. And don't click it a bunch of times or else it's going to download like 50 times and then open 50 instances of Tableau. So just click it once and I promise you it's going to be working. In hindsight, I should have gotten you guys to click this right before break so that it downloaded over the break, but. So I'm gonna walk around and see.
So can you check this thing? Like, do we have to get a free trial?
See, so it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to.
Hello?
Do this.
Hello?
And
Hello?
if you go like this. Let me close this for a sec. If you go into here, more details, and we go into details. This should be authenticating in the background. There should be an authentication process happening. So launch. Oops.
Hello, Professor. Hello, Professor.
See. So it's running.
Okay.
And then in the background, I think it's going to be, there we go. Oh no, before the trial started. That's interesting. One trial.
And also, I was downloading the student version from their website.
No. Oh, okay. Have you done that? Have you uninstalled that?
No, I was not able to download because they asked for some documents for verification, but they rejected.
Okay, so this, I'm gonna try something here.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you product key if it isn't working. Come on in. How's it going? So let me just.
Professor?
Product key. Just 1 second. I'm just trying to figure something out. So the license key I want you to try would be this. Read that. TC8. Why?
Do we have to click on register?
Well, you shouldn't. So here, let me see what's happening on your machine.
I haven't done anything yet. It's just like this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just hit register. Software.request. There. So what did you do? And yours worked. And you didn't have to type a key. So that worked. From Apps Anywhere?
Yeah, it's just I opened it. Just click on launch and it already had everything.
Apps Anywhere. Okay. So that should work without you typing that in?
So for me, that will work.
That key did work.
Yeah.
That should have worked, but it should have done that automatically. Like
Okay.
you shouldn't have to type it in.
Okay.
But now that you've done that, yeah. Yes,
Hello,
now you've
Professor.
got this.
Hello, Professor.
So this is good.
Okay. So it's working.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But typically you shouldn't have to type that key in
Okay.
anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Not sure. What about you? How's yours?
This is not bad.
Oh, don't download it from there. So go to Apps Anywhere. Have you downloaded this from the web? No. So on your Google Chrome, go to Apps Anywhere. Just type Apps Anywhere, Georgian College. Yeah, there. Just, and then it'll be the first link. You'll have to log in. And then you can hit, Open Apps Anywhere Launcher. It's going to launch it on your computer. So just give it a minute here. It should run it. So these are all apps you have access to through Georgian. But go to the top and type in the search bar, Tableau. Keep typing. Oh yeah, so then hit the favorite button, the little star, then launch. Yep, open up and now just let it do its thing. So there we go, it's downloading. Now it's typing in there's the license key, so it's typing it in automatically, TC8Y, that's the one that's on the screen. So just let this run. Did you close this command prompt window that came up maybe? See, so it opened this automatically, and then it's applying the activate. That doesn't appear for you.
There was a command prompt?
Yeah, command prompt comes up, it hits activate, and then it's actually downloading. So if you go like this, escape, now go more details, and then hit details. It's going to be running. Can you expand this and then sort by network? Maybe not. It's going to be basically downloading in the background and then applying that license key. So just let it run. Yeah.
Maybe nothing happened. It just was there.
For you, it just worked, eh? Interesting. Anyways, yeah, just let it run. So it'll just do this. It'll sit there for maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. All right. I think we're good. We've got people working for people in class. It's showing validation failed for you, Ravi. So try logging out and logging in or restarting your computer, because if you're not signed into your Georgian account, then it might not work. Christopher, you already have Tableau from first semester. You should not need to download it again. Biode, you also have Tableau. Is it working with the license key?
The first semester Tableau is working because I registered with Georgian College credentials. So it's working.
Okay, perfect. Then you can just use that. If you have it working already, then you don't need to use it through Apps Anywhere.
Hello, Professor.
Hello.
Yeah, though I changed my PC, that's why. I had it working last semester, but I changed my PC, so I don't have it again. So I'm trying to download it. Validation is failing.
Are you logged in through your Georgian account?
Yes, he's already seen my account. He's already writing my name.
So you might, if your validation's failing, you might need to restart your computer and then try again. And if it still fails, then you need to send an email to IT support.
Okay.
Because they might just need to add you to an Active Directory listing or something with your Georgian account.
Okay.
But the validation should be successful. It should only take like maybe 20 seconds to validate. But try restarting. Restart your computer and then see if it works. Did yours run? So then, once you've got this screen, just hit register. Registration complete, done. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so you might get a screen that pops up that's asking for you to fill in a bunch of information, like what's your email, phone number, do you want to register for marketing emails? Leave all the defaults because they're already going to be automatically filled in through the software request email from Georgian. So you can just leave them there because it's just set up by IT support that way. And you can just hit register, which just means register this computer as one of the BDAT students for this term with that bulk license key. All right. If it's asking you to type in a license key, then I will paste in the license key that you should be able to put into Teams chat here. And that should work for Tableau, but I think it'll only stay active for maybe this semester, maybe next semester, or no, yeah, maybe 8 months. Anyways, so that's in Microsoft Teams there. Okay, so you should have a screen. You should come across the screen that probably looks something like this. This is called the connect screen. So this is, you know, when you open Tableau for the first time, you'll see some sample workbooks. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you are sharing your Tableau screen.
Yep. Okay, that's what you should see. So you'll see a screen like this, the connect screen. Now to get out of this, because we don't really need the screen, you just click this little button here. And if you want to get back into it, you click the little Tableau icon. So clicking that little Tableau icon will then bring us into our main Tableau workbook or worksheet. All right, we'll kind of walk through some of the basic controls here before we start actually working with data. So we have to understand, you know, some of the basics of this before we can start doing some of the functionality that we were doing with Power BI. So like most programs in Windows, we've got these tabs across the top. So file is where we can open, close, save our workbook. And anytime you want to actually export your Tableau workbook, you want to choose this option, packaged workbook. If you don't do packaged workbook, if you just do as PowerPoint or whatever, then it will just basically save the screenshots or the snapshots of the visuals. But if you want to actually export the data and the models and the relationships that you've created, then you want to do a packaged workbook because that'll save everything, okay? It's important to remember. And then you would import a workbook from here. All right. The data tab is where we can add new data sources. The worksheet tab is where we can do basically everything related to worksheets. We can add a new worksheet. We can, you know, show our titles, captions, summaries, cards, etc. Now there's these things called dashboards and stories, and we'll get to these in a little bit. But basically, you got to think of it like a hierarchy. So in order to create a dashboard, you need a worksheet created. And in order to create a story, you need a worksheet and a dashboard, right? So they kind of build onto each other. So worksheet is just like your basic canvas that we had in Power BI. And then dashboard is a little bit more detailed. And then a story is this new thing that we'll talk about where you can kind of walk through a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, where you tell a story with the data. But basically the dashboard and the story tab have all the settings that relate to dashboards and stories. The analysis tab has a bunch of analytics tools that we can use to look at things like aggregates and, you know, percentages. The map is anything to do with maps with geospatial data. Formatting is where we would do anything with like font, alignment, borders, shadows, all of that. And then server, we're not going to use this, but if you wanted to connect to something like a Tableau server, like Power BI services, then you would do it through there and you would sign in to your Tableau server. So if you were ever working for a company that has a Tableau server, that's where you'd sign in. And then this is something Power BI doesn't have, which is kind of cool. It's like presentation mode. So, you know, in the window, we can show all our toolbars and stuff on the side. If you don't have anything, if you have, say, the toolbar, all those icons are missing, you just come to window and then you can show it and get all those icons back. You can also do presentation mode here. It's also the same as this icon, which you might recognize from PowerPoint. And basically, it's the same as hitting F7 on your keyboard. But presentation mode basically runs the report so that you can hide all of the control fields and then just actually run through the report with whoever you wanted to present it to. All right. And then help, obviously, there's all your support. There's training videos that you can get links to. They're not anything super special. Sample workbook, sample gallery, changing your language, and obviously if you need to manage your product keys and type the product key that I sent in Teams, if you're just on the 14-day trial, then you can manage that there. All right, so that's all the main menu. And then we've got all these icons, which are kind of shortcuts to some of the same actions. So these can be your back and forward or undo buttons, depending on the context of what you've got selected.
Hello,
I
Professor.
think this is the refresh.
Hello, sir. I don't know.
Hello?
I'm not seeing your screen. I'm just seeing you, and I don't know what's going on. I've restarted my Teams and everything. I'm seeing you.
Every now and then this happens where everyone can see my screen except for one
Can you,
person. Can you see that now?
Uliole, can you check
Yeah, I
your?
can see it now. I can see
It's
it
so
now.
weird. I don't know why. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you click my name by, if you click my picture, or if you have me set as the presenter, then sometimes it will hide the screen. But Okay, so then we've got some of these buttons. This is your save button. It's like the little floppy disk. Then we've got a way to import data here. So we can add a new data source. We can pause data. So if you had anything connected to like a live data source, or it's kind of neat if you want to walk through the relationships and how things are connected, you can actually pause it and then run through step by step where the data is being connected. Here we've got our refresh button. This is our shortcut to adding a new worksheet, which you can also click down here. And then we were talking about, so these three buttons, this is a new worksheet. So we've got sheet 1 already. Then we also have a new dashboard button and a new story button, right? And those we can add if we have basically one of the previous. Here we have our clear sheet button, and then running through, we've got a highlighter where we can, highlight our workbooks. This is basically for setting the view. We can fit width, fit height, or set the report to fill the entire view. There's our presentation mode button. And then here's some more formatting stuff with titles and captions. All right, and then on the left-hand side, we can see again, here's another way to connect to data. And we also have our analytics tab, which we'll touch on, not this week, but we'll touch on that next week. So that's some of the analysis. And then on the right, there's this show me button. So by default, mine's expanded. So if you want to get it expanded, you can just click it once. And we can see, if we hover over, all the different types of visuals, very similar to the visualizations pane in Power BI. We've got all the different types of visuals we can use in Tableau. And if you hover over them, you'll see kind of like the minimum requirements necessary for creating that visual. So if I hover over bar chart, it expects, and sometimes these are referred to as blue pills and green pills. So blue pill is dimensions, and the green pill is measures. And every now and then there's red pills, which are errors. So, if you want to pretend you're in the Matrix with red pills and blue pills, then you can do that. But so for the bar chart here, basically the minimum requirement is 1 green pill or a measure. Okay, but it also says 0 or more dimensions. So you could have dimensions as well, but you don't have to have dimensions. All right, whereas something like a pie chart needs 1 dimension and 1 or 2 measures. All right. It uses this terminology, dimensions and measures, a lot. So it's important to understand the differences between that from your data source. So a measure would be something like a number or a numerical value. So like your sales or your profits. And dimensions are things like categories. So like names or countries, right? Things you could divide the measures by. So you could take your profit by country or profit by customer. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics of all of those. Oh, and then there's also these. So there's this marks, what would I call this, little panel here. And this is where we can adjust the formatting of the report. So the color, the size, the text, the detail, even the tooltip. And you can also hide this card if you're not going to use this. There's the filters panel. This is different from filters, or sorry, no, this is not. This is similar to filters in Power BI. And then there's the pages. This we won't use this week. This isn't actually, yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than just pages. It talks about pages. So we'll get into that a little later on with what this does. So if you're not going to use it, you could hide this card. We'll just leave it for now. But yeah, filters, if we want to filter a report or a visual, and then here we can control the formatting of the color and the size. All right, and then obviously this is our canvas. This is our main sheet here where we can actually use some of these visuals. So let's import some data. So I'm just gonna click this hyperlink, connect to data, and you're gonna see it just by default, it auto expands the drop down from this icon. So you can do this, you can do this, or you can do this. It's all the same. There's 3 or 4 different buttons you can click to do the same thing. All right, and then the first option, Tableau Server. Again, we're not using that, but that's if you're connected to a live server. We can import basically from any of these file types or Microsoft SQL Server, or you can see the more option here is selected, and then there's all of these different types of connectors, right? By default, it's the server more. We can also click the more here, under File, and it's going to open up your Windows Explorer, and you can basically just search for any type of these file paths. So Excel, XLSX, SAS, Tab, TWB, any of those. And you could basically browse to what file you want to import. Another important thing to remember is text file. It doesn't mean TXT. It actually means a CSV file. So we're going to import a CSV file, so we can choose, new data source. We can choose text file to import, and then we're going to do our global superstore data. So the same one we were doing in Power BI. And we can just hit open. Now I guess you can do a TXT file, but it's also CSV, .tab, or TSV. So open, and now what we're looking at here is the data source, right? So you can see here there's this little hint saying go to worksheet. We're actually in the data source tab right now. So if you did hit this sheet 1, we're back to this. We can see our table is now imported on the left. But if we want to go back to that, we'll break down what's happening here on the data source tab. So we can see the file that we're connected to is Global Superstore. We can see a bunch of other files in that path. So here's all the other files I've got on my computer that are CSV files. And if you wanted to click these, you could actually take a look at some of them. But right now we just have global superstore.csv. There's 51,000 rows, 24 fields, and we can see all of the table structure here very quickly. So this is none of the row data. This is none of the actual table data. It's just the what you call schema. So you've got the column name, the data type. So they use different symbols or icons than Power BI, but again, it's very similar. Number, decimal, number, whole number, date time, string, Boolean, or you can let it automatically detect. So it's pretty good at detecting whether something is a date time or a string, or here we've got geographical. So it's actually doing city, so it knows that that's city. Here it's going to do state or province, so it's automatically doing that. Again, country, it's detected the country or the region, and then postal code, I think it also has one for zip code or postcode. So if you need to change that because the automatic detection isn't right, then you can go through there and scroll through. And you can also notice we've got blue icons and we've got green icons. So that's going back to the measures and the dimensions, the blue pill and the green pill that I was talking about. All right, so sales, quantity, discount, profit, those are all measures that we can sum or aggregate or average. And then if you want to look at the data here, we can actually kind of shrink this over and we can scroll through and take a look at a preview of our data. So we're actually just looking at the first 100 rows and we can see if this is correct, right? So sales, this is formatted right now as a number decimal. And if we wanted to change it, we could, but that's fine for now. And oh, the one thing we do want to change here is you can see it says a live connection. So it thinks it's connected directly to the file, and that's not actually true. We actually just want to use extract, which basically will include all the data from that file because we're not connected to like a database. So this is going to import it into Tableau's data engine and extract the entire sheet of data. Okay, so make sure you've got the extract selected. Cool, I think that's it. Oh, the other thing you can do is if you wanted to get a little preview, so say we're going to do something like create a join or a union, you can click this little button on the right hand side to give you a little preview of the data, so the column that you might want to join on, and then you could do that as well for one of these other tables to make sure, okay, customer ID here, RH19495, and then we can go over here and look at, you know, the customer ID and make sure that's the right one that we wanted to join on. So here's the customers table. Take a look at their customer ID. No, it's not the right field, so we actually have to find the right table. Right, so you can just click that little preview button basically. Okay, so we can go to sheet 1 again, just in the bottom here. For some reason, this pops up. I don't know why. You can just hit cancel. I'm not sure exactly. It's saving an extract. You can just hit cancel and then it takes you to sheet 1. So I don't know, whatever changes you made. Oh, I guess. Oh, because we set it to extract. That's what it's wanting.
Back to live.
Yeah, so we'll actually hit save here, I guess, in the default. That's what it's doing. So I'm going to save it in whatever default my Tableau repository data source is. So we're going to save where it's extracting the data from. There we go. And so now that it includes all data as of June 6th at 11:53. Perfect. Okay, we can go to sheet 1. And you can see nicely on the left-hand side here, all our data is broken down into blue and green. So dimensions and measures. So we can take a look at this. And if we wanted to do a bar chart, we can see it expects 1 or more measures and 0 or more dimensions. So we can bring a measure over like sales. All right. And where you drop it actually makes a difference. So you can do it on the y-axis, the x-axis, or you could drop it here. We're going to drop it here. And if you want horizontal bars, saying 1 or more measures or 0 or more dimensions. So we can see sales, sum of sales, and we can click that little down arrow and we can change it to the average, the median, the count, or whatever aggregate we choose, the min, the max, a percentile, all from right here. Now, if we want to, what was it, region? If we want to divide this horizontal bar, so this is 12.6 million, I think we could do it by region into the columns. So now we can see all of these regions coming across. If you wanted to remove it, you could just right-click and remove. If we wanted to do by country, oh, that's too big. Trying to see which one I wanted to do. Shipping mode. That's a good one. By ship mode, okay? So here we've got ship mode. I've got 4 shipping modes. So first class, second class, standard class, and same day shipping. Now, we've got our sales, 7.5 million, but you can see on the left it says 7,500 thousands, which is the same as 7.5 million, but we're going to need to format that. You can also see it's only 4 columns wide, but it's taking up this tiny amount of space. We can stretch the view here by actually doing fit width or fit height. We'll bring it back because it's just fitting the height. Or you can do entire view and it will stretch across again. So I like this fit width option. We also have a null value here, which we'll have to get rid of, which we can exclude. I can close the Show Me tab because it's just hovering over, but all right, so there we go. We've got this starting to look pretty good. Another thing we can do is, this is cool in Tableau, you can basically take the measure that you're looking at, sales, and we can drag the green pill onto one of these marks. So I'm going to do it on color, and automatically it creates a legend here. So the darker the color, the more sales, or the higher the value of the measure. All right. So we can right-click this axis here and format, and you can see this whole panel comes up on the left-hand side, and we can change the numbering scale to millions here. So you can change the decimal places. I just did standard. You can see it's 7.5 million. Oh, was it? So if you do automatic, mine just goes to thousands when I do automatic. Is yours on automatic? Oh, interesting. Yours too?
Number custom and display units. Custom display units, millions.
So yours was this by default.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you can choose what decimal places to expand it to. So 2 is pretty good. Even 1 really, you could do 7, 7.5, 6.5. And then yeah, we can choose our display units here as millions instead of thousands. And then we can see that impact there. Now I've also got a null row because there's probably some null data that doesn't include like rows of data that don't include shipping modes. So we can just right click this and we can exclude. And now it's just going to show the 4 main instead of showing us a null value. It doesn't really make sense.
Your dataset is different than us.
Sorry?
Your dataset is different than us.
Is it different?
Yeah.
Does yours not have nulls?
We don't have nulls.
Oh, okay.
No, the
You do?
dataset you uploaded, I don't have null values.
Oh, maybe your data set's different because they all have nulls too. Don't worry about it. If you don't have nulls, then you don't have to do that step. All right, then we can close this format page there and get back to the data just like this.
Also, Professor, like in your display, it's like 0.5 million difference.
Oh, yeah.
In mine, it's like just 1 million difference. So
Yeah.
can I change that?
Oh, so your range or
The range.
is going, my increment is by 0.5 million, yours is by 1 million.
Yeah.
So yes, we can change that. I think, is
My
it?
maximum value actually is 2.8 million.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe you're using some other column.
No. Same
Yeah.
columns, same rows, but the dataset you uploaded to Blackboard,
Yeah.
I'm using that
Global Superstore?
Superstore dataset. Yeah.
Oh, not that one. I'm using, it's called Global Superstore. So did you get it from the weekly folder?
Yeah, we find.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that one is slightly older, but don't worry about it. It's still very similar, the concept of what we're doing here. Okay, so we want to see if we can edit this axis. So we can edit axis, and let's see. The intervals, mine are automatic. You could do fixed and then do them at 1 millions, which is what yours is showing, like this. Or you can type your tick interval as 500,000. So you right click, edit axis. So yeah, right click the axis, edit axis like this. And you can see it comes down from here as well. So another way to get to it would be right clicking this or hitting this down arrow and edit. Is it edit axis? No. Okay. Edit axis. And we've got this floating menu where we can basically, you can choose uniform axis range for all rows or columns, independent. So here's my maximum value. Or you can do fixed. Oh, I did sales by accident. Edit axis. Mine is automatic. Oh, tick marks, sorry. Come over here. Mine's on automatic for tick marks, but if you wanted to do 500,000, you could type in, like if yours is on millions, type in 500,000, and then it'll add the 0.5 million for that. If you wanted minor tick marks in between, so here you can see it just added a bunch of little dots. I can add little minor tick marks at each 100,000, or I could add them at each 250,000. And now I can see there's little halfway marks as well in between, which is kind of cool. All right, everyone at this point?
And also if we have to make those lines darker, like the interval which we just selected, that like these dots, small dots.
Yeah.
I mean, they are barely visible, so if we have to make them darker, is there any way?
Oh, I see. Let's see here. The ticks, scale, change the size, shading. I just made them black. Oh, whoops. The size there you can see is affecting that, but I want to do.
You did black, right? Yeah, it should show.
Format.
What are you trying?
Hey, you see these little ticks?
Yeah.
On the edit axis, where we did the minor tick marks fixed at 250. So we want to see if we can make them a little bit bigger.
But if you like first unselect it.
Yeah. Oops. That's what that was. Yeah.
It's visible.
It's a little bit visible. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably a way to do it. I can see if I can figure it out and get back to you on that.
No, but it's fine now. Like after changing the color, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's good. So just to go over the Blackboard this week for you guys, once you're caught up to that point, week 5, this is the intro to Tableau, features, functions, and chart construction. So in here, you can see the learning objectives are to examine given information sets to determine the most important variables, select data from that information set to communicate the most salient facts, and create accurate and appropriate visuals for different types of audiences. So there's a ton of self-help material in this week's folder that's meant for you to do a little bit of stuff on your own. So here you can see the to-do steps are install and launch Tableau, which we've all done, hopefully, and then explore and dig into the self-help content. So there's a couple folders here in the Tableau functions and visuals, how-to videos, and practice workbooks. So if you click this, it takes you to a link with a OneDrive where you can basically go through, and there's a ton of awesome videos here. So intro to visual analytics, you can look in here. If you want to look at creating and working with data sets, you can look at here, coloring, asymmetric drill downs. There's a ton of awesome stuff. So if you're interested in like how grouping works or how to make custom tooltips, at any point you can come through here. The clustering that we did today in Power BI, you can look at that, sorting, trend lines, reference lines, et cetera, et cetera. It's all in there. How to filter. There's a bunch of videos. And then there's also these .twbx files that you can download, which are Tableau workbooks that you can install, and then you can get the finished version as well. Okay, so where Tableau filters, ways to filter, and additional filtering topics. There's 3 pre-made workbooks that you can install and play around with the filtering options. Okay, so that folder there is really good. And then there's this folder, which contains a link to the online learning website for Tableau, which has libraries of instructions and guides for creating charts and graphics, including area, bar, line, tree map, bullet, scatter plot, and bubble charts. So there's a Superstore data set, which is maybe the one you used, in this folder that you can import and then practice creating each of these chart types, or creating one sheet for each of these and then labeling them with the chart type name. So if you click in here, there's the data set, and then here's the link to the help center for building all of these different types of charts.
We can, I guess, just see functional visualizations. We can see the data set on one right because there's no good block. We can't click.
You can't go inside of each folder?
We can just see functions and visualizations. I guess we have to ask for permission to load.
It should be shared, the whole thing. It depends which one you go into. There might not be a TWBX file in each one. So if you go into number 2, creating and working with sets, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 TWBX files. You only see these, the MP4s?
Sorry. Yeah. No,
Oh, you can see it?
I thought I have to go Tableau Server.
No worries. Yeah, so you can see them there. And then there's also all of these links for building the different charts. So if you ever need to remember how to build vertical or horizontal bar charts, basically you swap the green pill with the blue pill in columns and rows. And it walks you through really nicely on Tableau's help page here for how to do that. And then how to divide it by ship mode, et cetera, et cetera. And this is using this global superstore data set that we've been using all along. So I think we actually got this right now. Some sales, oh, that's by year, and then ship mode on color. We could try doing that as well here. So let's see if we can experiment. So instead of year, we'll do ship mode. We'll bring that back off, and then we'll go to our data set. We'll go to, what was it, year? Okay, and then, oh yes, he selected year. That's fine, and then we want to get rid of this color, remove that, and then we want to bring in ship mode color. There we go. But we don't want a line chart. So what's kind of cool is this marks automatically. It's going to go to this. It's going to go to a line, but you can change the type of chart here. So if we want to do bar chart, you can switch that. And we can change the width of each of these as well. All right, and then labels, you can show mark labels if you want, and basically that's the same as these data fields or data labels. So we can turn those on and change the appearance of them just with this little button here. Oh, okay, so year, I'll just bring it off. You just hover over order date and then drop it in, and it turns into year. Now, if you expand it, if you hit the little plus, it now goes to quarter, and if I hit the little plus, it goes to month, and if I hit the little plus, it goes to day. You can see this gets insane, so we can just remove these. You can also just select them and then hit delete. So we've got it by year, and then I can turn on these data labels right there, or mark labels, as they call them, and then it's kind of nice. You can see the actual values as well. I think I can also add. Yeah, I added ship mode to color. I wanted to see if I can get these mark labels to have a currency in front of them as well. But
Professor, what are you using?
Sorry.
What are you using for the bar chart? But I'm getting a line chart on mine.
Yeah, so to change it, if you have automatic selected for marks, it's going to automatically try to detect what type of chart you're doing. So automatically it's selected a line chart, but if you want to do bar chart, you can select it from this drop down list. This is very important. This marks, this marks panel, you can basically choose which type of chart you wanted to do. So if you wanted to do an area chart, you can show it as an area chart. If you want to do it as a pie chart, you can change it as a pie chart. It's going to try its best to graph it in all of those different ways. So we're going to do a bar chart, and then we turned on our data labels. Right? All right, and then that's basically replicated what they've done here. Actually, I think ours looks a little bit better because we've gone fit width and we've changed the size to kind of fill the white space a little bit more. And then we drag ship mode onto the color. right? And if you wanted to change the colors, you could edit the colors here for each of these. So I want to make first class yellow. I could do that, hit apply, and it does that. Tableau is automatically smart enough to change the text color based on the background color of the bar. So you can see here it's a black text for 650,000. But if I do something like a lighter color, like this pink, and I hit apply, or sorry, a darker color like dark blue, and I hit apply, it's going to change it to a white font, which it's smart enough to do that so that it's not contrast or difficult to read on the background. That's why this one's black font, this one's white font, this one's black font.
Which one do you prefer, Tableau or Power BI?
Power BI you'll find everywhere. Like every business will use Power BI, so you'll see it more often. But Tableau is recognized as the better tool in an industry standard because I think you just have so much more customizability. Like even if you look here at the tooltips and you've got all of this, we can edit exactly how the tooltip is going to show and the font size. And you can get way down, like when I hover over this, you see the font size and everything. You can change the customizability down to the last minute detail of like where the tooltip is going to be aligned. You know, see the spacing there for ship mode. I can change it so that there's no spacing, and then you can see. So it really has a lot of, you can see there, I just moved the margin over. So you can really customize everything down to the last little detail, which is kind of nice in Tableau. So realistically, if you're good at both, that's best case scenario. But where was this?
Professor, what can we do? Some of the labels are not displayed.
Sorry?
Some of the labels that are displayed. So what can we do? Like the orange one.
What about it? Oh, here.
Do we have to select and display all the time because right now in my data set all the orange ones are not visible.
All of the orange ones are not visible?
Yeah.
So what ship mode is that? Same day shipping. Same day shipping in 2011. So if I
Maybe
go,
it's the size problem. And yeah, it's small
it could be a size problem. It also could be that there's just no data for that year.
I have like
0.1 million saved for first class.
Okay.
For 2013.
0.1 million. Okay. So maybe it could be a sizing issue, in which case we could fit height. No. Entire view. Let's see. Oops.
-2.
Let's see. Let's see if we can format this a little bit to get it to show. So the row, column. Alignment. Borders, no, none of that. We could make our scaling a little bit bigger. I wonder if that would do it. So if I go, I right click this and edit the axis, make my tick marks. $1 million instead. That didn't change anything. We could change show mark labels. If we change the font size, maybe? No. If we make the font size too big, you see it disappears in this one as well. Alignment, automatic. Word wrap could be turned on. No.
Oh, I did the font size small and it came.
It did, yeah. I did 8 and it still didn't come in for me. But what if we do like 7 or something?
Oh yeah, I did 4 and 7.
I can't go smaller than, I can't go smaller than 8.
Just click on 4.
Oh, I don't even have an option for 4.
Right, 4. Double click on it.
Yeah, I did that. It just goes back to 8, which I'm not sure. Okay, allow labels to overlap. Oh, this option here. So if you click this text box, allow labels to overlap other marks, then it's going to just basically allow it to, if I do a bigger font like 10, it's going to allow it to actually go into this box if it gets too big. Now it didn't, which is fine, so that's good. That's good to know. Good question. I learned something. Anyways, going back to Blackboard there, so there's that link. So how to build all those charts in Tableau. You can go through it. So that we just did this one. We did a bar chart. We were coming through here, and you know we can even add region here. So we can add region to our, was it columns? Nope. Was it to our, nope. How did they do it? They've got sales in their rows and year in their columns. Sales in their rows, years in their columns.
We have a lot of regions.
Yeah, central, east, south, and west in the regions. So let's see. We go regions.
Yeah. Central, east, south, west.
But maybe in my data set, I've got way more.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to filter this and limit it to not all. Maybe I want to use a custom. Maybe we just want to use central, south, east, and west. Central, south, east, and west. Turn off Africa, Canada as well. Hit apply, and then you've got it going like this. I can hit OK. You could, so that's general. You could go wildcard. So this is stuff that Power BI doesn't have, right? Where it's like contains, starts with, ends with. So if any region starts with the letter R or C, we could do that. Or condition. So we could do like by field, and then sales sum is greater than whatever. Or we could just use this, which is our top. By field, we could get the top, enter value, top 4, sales sum, right? Hit apply. Oh, maybe I have to turn off my general. Use all. Apply. Is that not working? Top 4 by sales sum. No, that didn't work. I'm going to turn off my ship mode filter. See if we can filter it by the top 4. Maybe we just want to filter it by the top 4 region. There we go. So now the top 4 regions we're showing. I think if we were filtering it by the top 4 sales. Oh no, that works as well. And then we get central, east, south, and west, which are the ones we want. So we just have to do maximum rather than sum, because if you do sum, oh no. So I don't know why it wasn't working before. There was maybe a bit of a glitch there, but so now we're getting it by the top 4 sales sum by region. So now we've got each year, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Now because we've set our marks to overlap, right? If we hit that off, then we're only going to show the large ones, which maybe makes sense at this point. It makes the graph look a lot nicer, and if they want the information, they can hover over it. Okay. So now you can just see, the largest ship mode, if it's big enough to make sense to show the number. And you can change the font too. All right, so following through the bar chart, they show you how to do that filtering. And then they also show how to add a reference line using these. Let's see. And then also having currency totals at the top. Okay, so that is just the one build a bar chart article, and there's every type of chart in here if you want to dive into that. Then there's also this link, which is the desktop charts and graphs product lesson demonstration. So this is a video, or sorry, a workbook package that you can download that uses this data set. So that is also in the weekly content there in the second folder. So I encourage you to go through that and exercise. Just take 30 minutes, honestly, so you can read the instructions here based on what we've been able to build together in our demo session. I want you to challenge yourself to recreate some of the same visuals, but continue to explore the edit formatting features and modifying the visuals in the workbook. Because self-directed practice make a huge difference in becoming a proficient user at Tableau. So just carve out 30 minutes. So we're going to kind of use 30 minutes now to continue working on some of this stuff together, but then 30 minutes on your own sometime through this week. If you think about it, you know, on the weekend or Thursday or Friday rolls around in between class or something, you got time to kill, then try exploring Tableau and using some of these features. As we're going to move into creating a dashboard next week. All right. So that'll be, yeah, we'll talk about that next week when we're talking about the dashboard, but let's see, what do we want to create next? Let's see if we can make this chart. So I'm going to put this up here, and I want to see if you guys can create this area chart, or sorry, this tree map. Top 5 states by quantity sold. So we've added a title. It's more than 5 states actually, so that title should probably change. It's top 10 states. Should say top 10. Yeah, we got a filter on our states. So how would we build this?
State the columns, and then one sold.
Make sure you're not doing bar chart for your marks.
Yeah, I'm going to change the not just I'm trying to learn from
Yep.
Year customs conduct.
Everyone on Teams? So we're trying to build what's on the screen here. Everyone on Teams doing okay with Tableau so far? That's good. So you're showing every single region right now. So you want to do filter.
Oh, you know, I had that option over here, and I did add all of
So it's still not too late. You can still add. You can see my filter is actually on state, not on region. And I'm just showing the top 10 states.
Let's
Oh.
measure and professor.
got it?
Yeah, but
So you're showing count of customer ID.
customer because customer count because it is
Right, yep. And then quantity sold.
it's 9,000.
For California, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't need the shipping mode in there. There we go. Okay, that looks a lot better. So now you're at 15,334. That's what we got.
But these are numbers I have to calculate this, but
So you can add a text in front of the label. No, so in the label section in the marks, you can add text hard-coded in front of that. So you want to keep that top, you want the state to be first. So you can hit preview here to see what it's going to look like. Right.
Arizona.
But we don't want Arizona, we want Arizona to be first, so it's like California, right? So you just move the order of those. There you go. And then you can change the alignment and everything.
Okay, I did top 10 by quantity some.
By quantity sold. So yes, some. So that's
Showing me 6.
Oh. So you've got a couple filters that you can probably get rid of here. This should only be filtering on one. So up in here, there'll be these ship mode, remove, and
Professor.
control process, 797. There you go.
Name.
The labels.
Yeah, so I was just showing you can actually do custom label, hit the 3 dots, and now you can preview. It's showing you California, right? So you're gonna want to bring in the quantity sold and the customer count into the label, so you can drop it onto the label. Yeah, cancel out of that, and then repeat that.
With that,
So the count of either of those. Now, so that's on your, yeah. So actually go back to the filter area. There should be an exclude button. Filter. So go back to down arrow. Yeah, filter. All, and then how did you get the customer name to not split into everything?
Customer name.
Yeah.
You have to add customer name to those filters.
Yeah.
Not filters.
You do it on the label, right?
Yes, you're adding rows of all members, and then you put this and format button. Measure and count.
Oh, yeah. So you want to do count. Oh, there you go. Did you do that count? Yeah,
First, I
so
can do top 5 sales, like more top 10 sales, because all I can see is all the states.
So you want to do top 10 in your region filter. Edit filter. Top
10 by quantities.
Are we doing it by quantity or by sales?
Sales.
Okay.
We are doing forecast.
It's by quantity sold. Oh yeah, sorry, so it is by quantity sold. But yeah, go to general. You might still have another filter on. Just remove the filter and start fresh because I think you have another filter in that filter. No, and then drag in. You can filter on no. You don't want to filter on region. You want to filter on state.
Yeah, that's why I did.
Then go top. 10 by quantity. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, does that match my North Carolina, Michigan? 1892.
Texas, Pennsylvania, Washington, New York, Illinois.
Your North Carolina matches 1966, but your customer count's not there on North Carolina. Customer count 4,002. So your customer count.
It doesn't show.
Your customer count on California is
It's
wrong.
because
Are you doing count distinct?
do
On customer, we count distinct. No. Where could you gotta go? And then measure, count, distinct. Yeah, and then is this 577? That's right, but now you need to change the tooltip to match the column name. So go back to tooltip and tooltip. See where it says customer name. You need to change it to distinct. Oh, that's right. CNTD. How's it match? Customer count. You have to edit the tooltip so that it shows in there. So customer count. Yeah, you just have to edit them so it shows. Okay. When you're hard coding yours now, only the fingers can be sold. There you go. Our values will be different because we're using a different data set. If you're using the one from Blackboard.
No, yeah, I think
I'm using the global data.
Yeah, so it'll be different. It'll be a little bit larger, I think, as you're going.
Right, yeah.
You got the states right.
It's my first time using that. So.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so we're just exploring.
I
So
can basically because it doesn't show.
okay.
But I can show it.
We'll walk through it together here. Okay. So I'll go on to my brand new one here. I'm going to make a new sheet. Okay, so I've got a new sheet on the bottom. So I've got sheet 1. Again, you can rename your sheets. So this is my, I don't know, this could be sales by region and year. And then sheet 2, this is going to be our top 10, what was it? Top 10 states by quantity sold. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is bring in our quantity sum on color and size. So we're going to go find quantity, which is our green. It's a measure. We're going to bring it in on color and size. Okay, so far nothing. We've also got this title here where we can change it to top 10 what is it? States by quantity sold. Hit apply. Okay. The next thing we want to bring over is state in our label and state in our filter to make sure we get the top 10. So we find state, bring it to our label. So you can see we've got all of the states here. It's insane. It actually looks kind of cool. And now because we've done some quantity in our color, it's applying a color and a size, so it knows we're automatically wanting to do a area or a tree map chart because size is going to be applied to each state. Now I want to put state and filter so that I've got 10. So I'm going to go top 10. So that's top 10 states because I dropped state in the filter tab by quantity sold, which is the sum of our quantity. Okay, so apply. Hit OK, and we should have California, England, New York, France, Texas. And if I go back to my other book, California, New York, Texas, Illinois, the data is slightly different depending on whether you're using the data set I provided from the week 5 folder or the data set we've used from the week 2 folder for Power BI. So you can see here my maximum quantity is 7,600, whereas the maximum quantity here is 15,000. So slightly different, but still the same idea. Okay, next we've got some quantity on our label. Again, you can see the little T is matching this icon. That's how I know. And this little circle is matching that circle on size. And here, so that's how you know which one to drag it on. So state, we've done. Now the next thing we want is some quantity on our label, and we want count D, which stands for count distinct customer ID on our label. Okay, so count D and oh, I'm already forgetting what the other one was. Some quantity. So we're going to go to quantity, bring it over on our label. It's automatically going to do the sum. So here we can see 7,600. That's good. And then count distinct customer ID. Now when I bring this over at first on label, it's going to go insane because it's going to give each customer ID on each state that's purchased or involved with a quantity that's been sold. Now if we just do a distinct count, so instead of showing each and every one of them, we just want to show the count of those customers. Well, now we can see 577 customers, right? Instead of showing 577 unique boxes by size, we're now showing just the count in the label. All right, so right away we've now got the chart looking very similar, but now we need to get these labels looking the same. So we've got our title. I guess we can make it bold to match. And then we're going to edit this so they've got a bold state name. They've got a prefix of QTY, quantity sold, and then a colon, and then the value, and then customer count, which is also a label or a title, and then the colon, and then the value. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of these format things. So first one, double click in here. I'm going to make it bold. Okay, so that matches. You can even make it the font a little bit bigger if you want. And then the next thing, we can actually customize our labels inside of the data cells by going into label, and then there's this text, which is going to basically be like HTML, tags, where we can actually customize how it's going to show. So you can see here I've got an open close for some quantity, open close for state, and or I guess it's also kind of like it's like HTML, or it's also like, oh, what am I thinking of? There's another language that uses this. Starts with an XML. Yeah, very similar to XML as well. So you can hit this preview button, and you can see what it's going to look like when we customize it. So we don't want, we obviously want California first. So we're going to move the state up to the top. So Control X, Enter, go up, Control V. Okay, now I preview. Okay, it's looking better already. I'm going to make sure they're all left aligned. Get rid of this extra white space.
Can you tell me again, how did you open this option?
Yeah, there's these 3 little dots on the labels.
No, even that thing, how did
You click this,
okay.
label,
Okay.
3 dots.
Okay.
Get here. So I'm going to bold these so they're bigger. I'm going to make them also 10 because 9's a little small. And then we're going to do, sorry, I'm not going to bold these. I'm going to undo that. They're all just 10. Now we're going to add the prefix. So I think the state was the only one that was bolded. So we bold that. Then we add the prefix. So here we're going to go QTY sold, colon, oops, colon, space, and then we're going to do customer, what did it say? It was customer count. Customer count, colon, space. Preview. So we've got our bold California, QTY sold 2,000, customer count 236. Hit apply. We can see those changes directly take effect. Maybe the font I think is a little bit too big. Actually, no, I like it. Hit OK, and then we can close the label. And so now this is looking basically the exact same. If I switch between the two of them, obviously the data is a little bit different. I think the one thing I'm doing is you can see this is coming all the way to the bottom here. This area chart is coming all the way to the bottom, whereas mine, there's still this empty space on the dashboard. So instead of standard, again, we can just do fit height. And now it's going to reorganize and use the entire 100% height, or we can just do entire view, same kind of thing, so that we're distributing it across the entire canvas of the report. All right. Then last step would be to rename our sheet just to match the name. So top 10 states by quantity sold. All right. And hopefully you can start to see the power of Tableau. Obviously, there's a ton of similarities between Power BI and Tableau, but Tableau has this customizability where you can really get down into the nitty-gritty details and make it exactly, precisely the way that you want the report to look like. All right. So your homework for the week is to see if you can make some of these charts. Here's another one that we can see if we can make in the next 5 minutes. But I've got some of these dashboards, sales by ship mode. We've made this in Power BI as a pie chart before. So obviously bring these in. I want you to try to do this word cloud. So top 5 states by sales. I'll give you 5 minutes to do this. Make a nice little word cloud. The size of the text indicates, which state made the largest sales. If you hover over it, check out that. You get a whole table analysis by category, sales, profit, quantity, and discount. So there's obviously a lot happening in the tooltip there. But see if you can just match this. All right. And then your homework would be also to see if you can match this. But realistically, I want you guys to go through the Blackboard videos and practice, at least take 30 minutes and just go through some of those, pick some of the visuals that you find interesting. See if we can replicate this one, though, in the last 5 minutes here before we close off for today. Bring that onto size. Do that. Yeah, that's good. And then bring some of the cells on in color. And then change your mark from automatic to text. Process. Yeah. Oh, okay, sweet. I have to remove the. All right. Yeah, there you go. Alien work here.
We need to shine over here.
Yeah. Okay, you're getting there. But I have one more filter.
Yeah, the state.
So then I'm not being able to find it here, like this thing.
Oh, so don't worry about bringing it over. That's just showing you how to make some of those things. But you can just copy basically what I've got going on here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you do that, and then you make sure your marks you've selected as text.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you writing those labels, top 5 states by state?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Is it auto-generated?
So that's it's not auto-generated. It's actually just a.
It's a text. text.
Just a title, yeah. Okay, so I'll walk through it quick here in the next couple minutes. So I'm going to make a new worksheet. We're going to bring over sum of sales, state, and sum of sales, size, text, and color. So sum of sales into size, sum of sales into color, and then state into the text. All right, and now it's going to automatically, right? It's using automatic here. We want to do text, okay? Because it's going to process here for a little bit because there's a ton of states. Now we've got this giant word cloud of every single state ever. But we want to filter that down by state to the top 5. Top 5 by sum of sales. Okay, and there we go. We've got the top 5 by sum of sales. We can change the title here. It's saying sheet name like this. So right now my sheet name is sheet 3. So if you want to do a 2-for-1 here, we can do this. Top 5 states by sum of sales. And now it should also add that to the title. There you go. So it's dynamic. And then if you want to make this bold, select it bold. If you want to make it a bit bigger, make it a bit bigger. There we go. And now the last thing here that we've got going on that's kind of fancy on this version, well, first of all, we have to make sure instead of standard, we're doing entire view. So it's fitting it to the entire view, is the tooltip. So right now I've got on my tooltip state and sum of sales. So when I hover over, it's just giving me that. Whereas on this version, we've got this fancy summary analysis. So if we take a look at this tooltip, we've got state analysis summary. We're showing the state, sum of sales, and then we're actually bringing in a sheet, measure by product line table, max width 500, max height 500, filter all fields. So where it's saying sheet name, measure by product line, there's actually a sheet that I've got created down here, measure by product line. So it's another report, and this is it. Summary of measures by department and product line. So you can just create this very simply. It's a table. All right. It's automatic. I've just brought in my measures values. So sales, profit, quantity, discount. I've filtered down the measure names and the tooltip. Let's see what this is state on all of them. So I guess I'm showing by every state. Let's see here. And measure names, I've just shown discount, profit, quantity, and sales for. So discount, profit, quantity, and sales going across this way. Anyways, so basically kind of similar to custom tooltip in Power BI, where if I go back to my word cloud and I hover over, we now see that table by state, right? So here it's sales is 233,000, here sales is 622,000. So again, here's what that tooltip code looked like to bring in that sheet. All right. If you want to insert a sheet so you don't have to type this code, there's this little insert button, sheet, and then you can pick from your sheets if you want one of those sheets to act as the tooltip. All right. But in order for it to be able to filter by state here, you have to have, oops, if I go to this, you have to have this tooltip feature as state, right? Because I'm using it as a tooltip on my state, right? Oops, I keep going to the wrong one. So that's what's going on here. When we bring this up here, bring up tooltip state like this. Cancel. I just want to show the settings for this. So I'm doing use all state, right? So see if you can get that working, but I am going to have to close it off here because I think there's a class in here after. Yeah, it goes 10 to 1. All right, so again, just to cover Blackboard, just go through these training videos, pick some of these visuals to go through, spend half an hour. You don't have to do them all, but just spend half an hour, try to replicate them, see if you can get that word cloud tooltip working, see if you can get this chart, sales by department by product line with this target value. See if you can do this circle pie chart, the bottom 5 sales tree map, right? Just get comfortable with Tableau, see if you can explore some of those features. All right. And then there's also just some files and links for OneDrive to explore. So thanks, guys. I'm going to close off the Teams meet here. Any questions from you guys online?
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's okay. I'm just I'm trying to send mail to the IT so that they can
Yeah,
get
if your validation's failing through Apps Anywhere, then just send an email to IT support, see if they can get it fixed for you for next week.
All right, sir. All right, thanks.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks everyone on Teams. I'm gonna shut it off here.